Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Thomas, let's nail it for the folks out there about the memo.
This is one of the greatest moments in Trump's time as president. He's going to look back on this with just absolute glory because he already knows what's in the memo. And we know that any Republican that has seen what's in the memo says it's the end of the Mueller investigation. People go to jail, DOJ, FBI completely compromised. It obviously was exactly what the anonymous patriots, Name for Truth, said. A conspiracy conducted by the counterintelligence department of the FBI, led by Comey and coordinated with John Carlin and Loretta Lynch, and they're all going down.
Oh, or
it's
as
beautiful.
Betsy says, it was a coup d'etat that didn't go right. The overthrow of the government did not work, and they got caught.
I like to call Washington, D.C. right now, the D.C. stands for Democratic Chaos. They closed down the government because of the following. When it was found out, when they started debating and in their committees working on a immigration plan that they would superglue onto the budget, which is what they always do. They always try to stick their pork barrel nonsense on the budget at the end and say they're not going to vote unless they get what they want. And it's always very personal and very partisan and very greedy. So what did they want at the last minute? They wanted all DACA to simply be miraculously on a bill that is a budget made citizens. Okay, that is illegal, it's stupid, and anyone who would even think that that was possible should simply leave because they don't understand the way that laws work or Congress works. Congress determines immigration law. You can't tack it onto a budget. Now, the deferred deportation of DACA, all that they really could do, they could have never written something that would make DACA people citizens. That's not possible. They'd have to rewrite immigration law. So we had pointed out early on that it was a lie that it was 800,000 DACA. No. And now they've proven that the ones that they can account for, 3.6 million. And then as I've said, what about DAPA? DAPA, the parents, the criminal parents who came into this country and had their children here, who we have supported through education, through social services, through everything the entire time. These people have been a drain in our system. How many illegal parents brought in the illegal DACAs? 4.6 million. That's right. If you say DACA is accepted and you said it was 800,000, but it's really 3.6, and you didn't calculate that their parents get in now because of chain migration and they also continue with their deferred program, then you have almost 8 million. But hang on, that's not it. There's 11.5 registered illegal aliens in this country. There are many more that aren't registered. So who are those people? Those are people who came in because during DACA and during DAPA, when DAPA was actually in effect, and it is no longer, and those people are all illegally here, and no one's looking at them. They're the illegal parents of DACA. They all got to go unless we write new immigration laws. What about the 1,000 million, between one to two?
And again, the president, the executive office, does not write that legislation. It couldn't be passed before with Congress, so that's why Obama just rammed it down our throats.
Correct. He tried to pass it through Congress twice.
Well,
even the Democrats wouldn't support it.
Right, because it's not a function that comes out of the executive office. So Trump is very right in saying, no. But I know you want to wrap up on that, but all I want to get to the memo.
But this is why the memo. This is why DACA. This is why the budget didn't get through. This is a distraction. Let's remember, of the 11.5 million illegal aliens, how many of them vote? 11.5 million. How many of them are Democrats? 11.5 million. There's not a single illegal alien in this country that doesn't know Republicans are against them and Democrats are for them, and they can vote illegally in most states, and they do multiple times.
Yeah, in multiple states is what we found out with the Alabama election as well. It's worse than just the one vote per person. It's the multiple votes that are cast.
These people do not mind breaking laws, obviously, because they came into this country breaking laws. They stayed here breaking laws, and guess what? I think the number is about 2.7% of all of DACA applied to become citizens.
Well, what it is, Thomas.
Do you get that point?
Yes, I do. But you know what it is? It's an invasion. It's a
Yes.
soft invasion, and America was being invaded by the Democrat army and future voters.
Yes, and Obama, who created the invasion of Europe by bombing 7 countries, his brother Muslims, 2 million of them he killed for no reason whatsoever in any of those cases, 56 million refugees and homeless. Okay, that was the invasion of Europe. That was Obama and Hillary Clinton. The invasion in America was through the fact that DAPA came in and that there's 11.5 registered illegal aliens, probably twice that many true illegal aliens. Who allowed them in? Obama. Obama allowed, exactly as you said, Betsy, an invasion of America. And the refugee program of 100,000 a year was costing us billions and billions. The refugee program, we had to pay the United Nations, what was it, 24 billion. Trump has now stopped that. We were paying, basically the money goes to the Catholic Church. We were paying Turkey. We were paying Syria. We were paying everybody for these refugees that Obama created. And they are invading our country. They have, last year, there were hundreds of arrests of terrorists that no one was ever told about. I just saw these statistics. I forget the numbers. It's something like 700. And of the 700, 97% of them were illegal aliens, and like 85% of them were from these countries that Trump wants to stop immigration from, especially refugees, and immigration needs to be tighter. So here's what was going on. The invasion was happening. Democrats expected to win because they have allowed this invasion to happen of illegal voters. This is all well known. When Trump commissioned Pence to look at the election, they found 4.5 million people had voted, and they had only looked at a few states. The states that had sent in the information voluntarily, which they didn't think they were guilty. I think it was 17 states sent it in. Between 3.5 and 4.5 million people voted that were either dead, not registered, or they literally had proof that they were fake votes. They were unregistered, they were legal aliens, so on and so forth. So, because they cross-referenced some Homeland Security files with some other files, and they also went and found that too many people voted in the district for even people living there, so on and so forth. So anyway, it's about elections. So what was Schumer trying to get through? The fact that he doesn't want to lose the next elections. They're claiming they're going to win the Senate and the House, the Democrats are. Nonsense. But they could win if we allowed DACA to somehow become citizens when they were simply deferred deportations. Illegal. Already found to be illegal, already charged. In other words, it's like sanctuary cities. And by the way, let's just look at Trump's victories. He's sitting there. We know there's 4,000 sealed indictments. We don't know who they're for. They could be for the officials for sanctuary cities. Could be for Jerry Brown, the sanctuary state. Could be for the 264 congressional sexual aggressors who had to pay out $17 million. It could be, as Trump is sitting there with his victory, that the IG found that, yes, everything we've been saying is true. Imran Awan had access to the Democratic National Committee server, Podesta's emails, Hillary's emails, the DCC's emails, and 80 members of Congress emails. And it was all illegal. And the IG, Inspector General of the Congress, has said that there must be a special prosecutor appointed because this is one of the largest cases of espionage ever in American history. We see we've finally been told Trump can sit in the White House and say, oh, yeah, great, look at the Democrats in chaos. Because why? Hillary's 3 investigations that we never were told were closed about her pay-to-play and basically just her foundation even being illegal, they were closed. At least one of them has been opened. There's now an investigation that has been ordered to look into the connection between the DOJ and the FBI. Exactly what is coming out by Nunes' House Intelligence Committee demanding that the FBI and the Department of Justice give the records on the tarmac meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch, on Hillary Clinton's emails, and on the collusion or corruption or basically really a conspiracy to overthrow both the election and then the president-elect, and then Donald Trump when he was president.
It was a conspiracy to overthrow the government of the United States of America.
Correct. And what Nunes did from the beginning, remember what he did. Someone went over, and I still say to this very day who it was, but it doesn't matter. Someone went over and told Nunes, go look in the White House SCIF. I want to show you something. And he showed him something, and he came out and he says, oh no, there's tremendous corruption, there's unmasking going on. And eventually Susan Rice said she didn't do it, then she said she did it, and then she came out and said she was proud she did it. We even have Obama. We even have Loretta Lynch and other people making remarks about, oh, the unmasking is completely okay. We have Clapper coming out saying the unmasking is completely okay. So they covered that one up. Nunes tried to take him down with that one because that shows that the White House was involved directly with a conspiracy to not only rig the election, but overthrow a duly elected president, even after he came to the White House. I want to make very clear, Imran Awan's espionage is still going on to this very day. The off-site servers are still active. Hillary's emails, they just found all the ones that Comey said he lied, and he said they weren't on Huma's laptop, but they are. And when it was said that Hillary's emails were already hacked and stolen, they didn't have to be hacked and stolen. Anyone could have got her emails, and they're out there. And what did they do? They caused deaths of people. We just put a Chinese guy, Mr. Lee, who works for the CIA, we just put him in jail because he was espionage. Why can't we put Hillary in jail, Huma in jail, Weiner in jail? That's all espionage. Imran Awan, why did the 5 other people who work with him get to leave here and go to Pakistan? Why does he only have on a tether on his leg instead of being in jail after they now found out that this espionage is very real? Trump is sitting back. He's not doing anything about this. Now, some have all these theories that the White Hats have planned this all along. No, I don't think so. We need to make, I don't know if Devin Nunes is a lawyer, but we need to put him in a very high position protecting Trump after all of this. Because what Trump now has is what we believe are the 1,700 documents that show the conspiracy in the 3 issues that Nunes had demanded, and the Intelligence Committee demanded that the FBI and the DOJ turn it over 3 times, and they didn't. And then in the end, they finally did. They brought Nunes to his SCIF room and said, here it is. And then Nunes sat down and created a summary of it, a compilation of what's in it. And when people look at it, they know that this is the biggest crime in American history. The Democrats won't even talk about it. The Republicans won't even say what they read. Trump already knows. We know that because of procedures, and he's not saying a word. You know what that means? This is the end of the Democratic Party. This is just like we saw the end of Obama's invasion of America through immigration, through no walls, through no border, through no ethical treatment of our immigration policies at all. He defied them with executive orders again and again. He is such a criminal. So what is Trump doing? Name something where Trump hasn't won. Name anything where the Trump effect did not come back to get the people who attacked him. Schumer wants to play this game. He's taking the Democratic Party down, and he ain't getting DACA voters, and he ain't getting DAPA voters, and he ain't getting the 11.5 registered illegal aliens in this country that vote Democratic.
Well, we need to stand resolved, Americans out here, to support this shutdown and to make sure that this doesn't happen. And then, it even gets worse. I don't know what that memo has in it, but I bet it doesn't have what we uncovered about how in the White House, in a room, the U.S. Digital Service, along with Google's Eric Schmidt and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, they were all in there with Hillary Clinton and Obama physically rigging the U.S. presidential elections. I can't wait till that comes out.
And also, the U.S. Digital Service is no longer there after $1.5 billion by Eric Schmidt was spent, plus a huge amount of money by the government, where they took everything digitized and everything stolen from Equifax and the Office of Personnel Management. Everything was given over to Eric Schmidt through the U.S. Digital Service, which now doesn't exist. So they created all these lines of communication in the White House that was supposed to modernize everything and have complete digital awareness, total awareness, they call it, total digital awareness. And then what happens? Oh, it just disappears after the election. No, it did not. It went to the House that Valerie Jarrett is living in, which they claim is the house that the Obama children were living in, and now one of them is living in, and the Obamas live in. There's not one day that they've spent the night there, but we the people are paying for 5 houses for Obama, and those houses are paid millions. We pay millions of dollars a year for the security on those houses. So we are continuing to provide security for Valerie Jarrett, the mob boss, the Mayor Daley mob boss, who was the handler of Michelle Obama and Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, in Chicago. When she brought the mob to Chicago after 8 years of running Washington, D.C., she is still receiving in that bunker. The U.S. Digital Service connections go there, and she receives there, because that is his residence, that's his official residence, the Presidential Intelligence daily wrap-up, the same one that Trump receives. This is the law. Only one other president has ever used this, and that was George H.W. Bush, and he used it when he was in Carlyle Group, and then with all of the illegal things that he did thereafter, because he had all the intelligence being given to him, and he was living at the time in the palace of King Saud in Saudi Arabia 50% of his time. Barack Obama is not even in the house in Washington, D.C., and yet Valerie Jarrett still has her top secret security clearances and still receives this. Hillary Clinton still has her top secret security clearances. Did you know that? Did you know that any ex-president, including Bill Clinton, could still receive the daily intelligence report? So during the election, he could have been receiving the intelligence report that was being given to Obama by the U.S. Digital Service and by all of the election rigging and all of the Uranium One hidden bull and all of the DOJ and the FBI collusion was all delivered to Obama every day.
Okay, so let me get this right. So we're looking at Obama messing with the presidential election, and then we're looking at him messing with and trying to impede us seating a duly elected president. And then after that, he's running around all over the world.
He is abusing the Logan Act. He's breaking it because he's doing business for America, and he's not an elected official.
So he is just like one bad dude. We got to take him out.
Every day we hear of more crimes that he did.
Who is this man, Barry Soetoro, CIA Manchurian candidate? Oh.
His mother was a CIA agent who was spying on not only both of her husbands. And in my opinion, neither of those husbands gave her the child who we know is Barry Soetoro. So who is she? Her parents were both CIA agents also. And the International Institute, where she worked out of in Hawaii, still a CIA front. And Obama's sister works there, as a matter of fact. And it has never stopped being a CIA front. And everyone should know that Obama's mother was CIA. And so when you ask that, that's why anyone who gets in the White House from the time of George H.W. Bush was already handpicked and already CIA indoctrinated. And so what we see here is, for instance, North Korea is a CIA project. Obama and the Clintons gave $4.5 million over time. The presidential White House, what I call the rogue CIA White House, but particularly Obama and previous presidents, over time gave $4.5 billion to North Korea. They're our friend. We built them their weapons. We gave them the money, just like we gave Iran the money to buy their weapons and to give Hezbollah and Hamas all the money that they need. That was Barry Soetoro. That was our president. So what we're seeing now is the victory. Trump is sitting back. He's not tweeting about this. Why?
Well, because he knows he's winning.
The victory's in hand.
That's right.
The more days
he's got
that
class.
He saves $2 billion a day for non-essential personnel being dropped from the dockets of the 5 million people who work for the federal government. Most of them, except for the military, don't need to be there. So we have just put out an article on who the bureaucratic, what people call deep state, what are the sections of what you would call the deep state, over 9,100 people in senior executive service positions who are actually middlemen. They're non-essential. They don't come to work on Monday. They don't need to ever come back to work. You know how much money? We should have calculated what that would be, because those people make an average. They make an average of about $200,000. They make more than senators make. The SES.
The Senior Executive Services, and I'll have a link there to the article that we've prepared on that.
They can all go.
But they can all go. Hey, hello there, Obama's army there, entrenched bureaucrats, or I should say corruptocrats, that are impeding the will of the people to clean up the swamp and make America great again.
Now, let me make this perfectly clear. There is no possibility that DACA could have been in the budget. It requires a separate action of Congress. It was an illegal action made by a presidential memorandum to the Homeland Security Department. It is 100% illegal. It is absurd. It's never happened in American history before that a president would take upon themselves breaking the law and using executive orders to create an invasion of America. This was an invasion. So what does Schumer want? He wants his invaded votes. He wants those votes that should come out of the Obama's invasion. And he's very, very upset. But guess what? The president has nothing to do with it. He was trying to help. But as I said before, you said, the Anonymous Patriot said, that it's a game. When he invited them all in to work with them, it was to show the rest of the world who they are. So the rest of the world made up the remark about S-holes.
Yeah.
Complete lies. They said hellholes, and many people said it. But by the time that Dickie, the only person who heard him say it, says it, then the whole world believes it, right? Well, that was because they couldn't settle on DACA because it was coming out that it wasn't 800,000 DACA. It was 3.6 DACA. They were all lying. They knew they were lying. And they were trying to do something illegal. The only way to continue DACA is another presidential order or memorandum or policy procedure. There's 5 different things he could do to continue this illegally. The reason he's stopping it is because it's illegal. And the Congress cannot put it into the budget. That doesn't work that way. So it's a complete sham. Why is it a sham? Why did this happen? Why is the government closed? Because of the friggin' memo. The memo is the compilation of what is in the FBI DOJ report to Devin Noonan's Intelligence Committee, which he wrote a 4-page summary of, that anyone who reads it believes we're basically in a constitutional crisis where we are looking at the worst conspiracy directly out of the law enforcement agencies, federal law enforcement agencies of this country, and people have to go to jail. Politicians never, ever say another politician has to go to jail. I doubt you can
really,
find a time that one ever said someone has to go to jail.
Exact on this. It's not jail. We're looking at prison, and we're looking at possible execution.
Some of it could be treason if they were soldiers. If they were military and they were underneath the Uniform Code of Military Justice, some of this could be considered treason. That is true. But we have Congress people. We have Gates, and we have Jim Jordan, and we have King, and a number of others all saying the same thing. This is so bad, people will be prosecuted and will go to prison. Now, they don't say that unless that is so serious that it is beyond anything we can imagine. But we have already told you what is in those 1,700 pages. We've told you every time they came out. The 36 pages, talking points for the tarmac meeting, that's in there. We know that the leaks were in there. We know that the FBI paid Christopher Steele in Italy. We know that's in there. We know that they started paying them in April, that there was no Republican payment to Fusion GPS. We know that certainly Christopher Steele did contact Ukrainians who are Russian, who did talk to Russians, and so yes, people were paid, and foreign agents were paid, and Hillary paid them, John Podesta paid them, the DNC and Hillary's Victory, directly with Hillary's order, paid them. That's criminal. Those are criminal acts, and I don't think that they're going to get out of it if the evidence comes to light. Now, what is the evidence? Here's the evidence. Comey was a sissy boy. He wrote everything down because in previous problems that he had at the Department of Justice when he was there, he, as well as Mueller, came up with the idea that their notes What they write down as notes basically are truth, and they're presentable evidence. Okay, it's not evidence. I can write a note down incorrectly, but no, they got it to become a law that Comey's notes are true simply because he wrote them down and they're presentable as evidence. And because of the authority of his position, they can be accepted as evidence in any case. And this has been used now in a number of federal cases because Robert Mueller was the person who created these avenues of disallowing evidence and changing the way that evidence is looked at in federal courts. He's the king of that. That's the reason 911 was never prosecuted. That's the reason the Saudis are never prosecuted, though the 28 pages have been made available. That Robert Mueller has set it up so that the politicians and his criminal buddies who have high positions, both in corporate and government, don't get prosecuted. So now to hear Congress people saying there will not only be indictments, prosecutions, but people will absolutely go to jail, go to prison. This is the most shocking thing of all. But we have been telling everyone what is in those 1,700 pages and that we should be upset and that all of this should happen. So we're thrilled, and we're sitting back with Trump, who's taking a big, deep breath, because right now the only thing that has not rebounded upon the people who have attacked Trump is the Mueller investigation. We warned Mueller, get out by
Was it October?
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving?
or you will go down. He didn't. Then we said, get out by Christmas, or you and all your buddies are going to go down. And he didn't. And now he is. He will go down. He has to go down. He's conducted a completely illegal investigation, knowing ahead of time that the evidence was there that should have stopped that. So Trump, as of August 15th, because of the eclipse happening right on his ascendant, we said he is the phoenix. No fire can burn him. Everyone who tries to burn him, they will be burnt. We also said there will be a bunch of crazy stuff happen from August 15th to January 31st of 2018. And by that time, it looks like the memo will be out and Trump will be the ultimate victor.